Jai Hind everyone. On 9th of May 2025, during the Operation Sindoor, a Pakistani aircraft had fired a PL-15 missile. The Indian side were able to recover this intact missile and have now reverse engineered it and have decoded the entire system of this PL-15 missile. Now, this missile was probably fired from a Chinese J-10 or a J-17 aircraft. Now, this essentially becomes an important piece of information, and this has been a huge success for the Indian sides who have now decoded this missile that is one amongst the fastest beyond visual range missiles. So, the absence of any self-destruction device in this export variant made such exploration possible. And this is a very rare in modern missile warfare, that a missile system does not have a self-destruction device. So this PL-15 missile equips the Pakistani platforms such as the J-10C and the JF-17. And this marks a huge breakthrough, particularly for the Indian side and for the aerial defense posture. The impact site was secured near the Kamahi Devi village in Hoshiarpur district, and one missile was discovered intact. And probably this missile would have traveled 100 kilometers inside into the Indian territory undetected. So, according to the converging assessment that had taken place, this missile would have been fired from a JF-17 or a J-10C aircraft, and the PL-15 is derived from the Chinese development. Now, this missile is a very crucial missile, and this will help the Indian side to strengthen their system against the Chinese supported Pakistani claims. So after the missile was recovered, the evaluations were carried out by DRDO and the Indian Air Force, and this has yielded a very critical insight about the missile. Now in this session, I'll discuss with you in detail whatever has been discovered, how the discoveries were made, and how this discovery and decoding process of reverse engineering would help the Indian sides to prepare themselves for any attack from the Pakistan. Moreover, it would also help the Indians to understand the Chinese mechanism of creating the missiles. Okay, so herein this was how the recovery was made. Okay, and in this situation we can see that this recovery, moreover an intact recovery, was also very successful. Clear? So this was a near intact missile that was recovered, and this missile did not have any self-destruction device fitted in this. Okay, so it was since then onwards the DRDO and the Air Force have been decoding the electronic signatures and the radar behavior of these missiles along with the data links. So this is literally a very rare intelligence opportunity that has been made possible only because of the absence of any self-destruction mechanism in the missile. Okay, so we can also understand that the discoveries were made near the Kamahi Devi village in Hoshiarpur, and the missile had traveled 100 km deep inside Indian territory after being launched from Pakistani JF-17 or J-10C. Clear? So after being secured by the Indian sides, the Indian forces quickly had secured the site and they had provided the same to the DRDO and the Air Force teams. Clear? So this has been a very unprecedented access that Indians have got to the Chinese mechanism, or literally to the Chinese missile technology. Okay, so now this PL-15 missile, now if we talk about the PL-15 missile and the specifications that is available. So this missile has got the active radar homing, which is beyond visual range air-to-air missile. Okay, this missile, the range is 145 kilometers approximately, and it exceeds the speed of Mach 5. Propulsion is double pulse solid propellant rocket motor. The key features are, this includes an advanced frequency agility anti-jamming suit, okay, which secures data link, low probability of interception modes, multi-target tracking. Okay, now the threats are, it equips the Pakistan's J-10C and JF-17 posed serious risks to Indian aircraft in the beyond visual range engagement, and it gives the Pakistan-China origin system a qualitative edge in the aerial warfare, aerial combat. Clear? So now this missile, since has a range of approximately 145 km and the capability to exceed Mach 5. Okay, this also uses a dual pulse solid propellant rocket motor, and these are the some key advanced features. So it also includes the frequency agility, the strong anti-jamming capabilities, and thus this poses a serious threat to the Indian air combat system. Clear? So the adversaries had now have a qualitative edge, but that qualitative edge has now been neutralized. Okay, so along with it, if the reverse engineering and the decode process, what all did they do? Okay, so DRDO and the Indian Air Force labs had conducted a detailed analysis and had carried out a thorough experimentation, the thorough research upon the whatever hardware was recovered. Okay, now they decoded the radar emissions, they recorded the missile homing behavior, okay, the seeking behavior, the frequency agility, the logic, okay, what all were the communication schemes involved, and the data link formats which were there. Now this all could be made possible because there was no self-destruct. So if destruction would have been there, complete access to the electronics and propulsion would have been into the hands, the missile would have been destroyed. But since this missile did not have this, it allowed the creation of a very precise electronic threat profiles and signature. Okay, so now with the Indian sides who have been able to decode this, okay, they have been able to integrate all of these informations into the operational databases of the our air defense system. Okay, now if we talk about the immediate benefits, okay, so this decoded data integrated into the electronic warfare database of frontline squadrons of the Indian Air Force, and the software updates have been rolled out for the Rafale, the Su-30 MKI, and also for the Tejas. Now it enables better detection, classification, jamming, and neutralization of PL-15 export. Okay, now this missile had entered deep into the Indian territory to almost 100 kilometers. Okay, and then it did not perform in the expected manner. So this eventually is a threat to the Indian side. Now by decoding it, we have quickly translated this all into an actionable technical intelligence. Software updates have already been rolled out to the frontline platforms, okay, of our fighter squadrons, including the Rafale squadrons. Okay, Rafale, that includes the Spectra electronic warfare system, the Su-30 MKI, and the Tejas. Okay, now our pilots are in a better position to detect, okay, to classify these missiles, to jam these missiles, and even to neutralize the PL-15. So previously we had uncertainties in tracking and targeting. Now significantly improving the aircraft survivability in the potential future beyond visual range combat scenarios. This has been a huge help for us, and this has been a blessing in disguise as our aircrafts as well as the air defense systems have been upgraded. Clear? Now, when we talk of the long-term benefits, okay, so these insights have been incorporated into the Astra Mark II program also. Now, it will have an anti-jamming technology, propellant technology, and seeker improvements. It would accelerate India's self-reliance by studying the adversary technology. It strengthens the overall beyond visual range missile and electronic warfare capabilities and potential for sharing insights with strategic partners like France, Japan, etc. Okay. Moreover, these are beyond, if we talk about the countermeasures, so beyond immediate countermeasures, these insights are being fed into India's own program. Okay. The key learnings on anti-jamming, okay, the propellant system and the seeker devices are accelerating the development of Astra Mark II. Okay, this would also reflect the Atmanirbhar Bharat action, and it would turn the captured technology of the enemy into an indigenous capability. Moreover, it also opens lot of opportunities for limited sharing with our strategic partners like France. Okay, and this would also help strengthen our defense ecosystem. Okay, moving further, the strategic impact, if we talk about this, so versus Pakistan, it would directly counter their primary beyond visual range threat from Chinese supplied platforms. So either it could be fired through a JF-17 or a J-10, and it would tilt the aerial balance in India's favor along the western borders. Now, with respect to China, it would provide insight into Chinese missile design philosophy, the radar homing system, seeker technology, and export variants. It would be useful for the LAC scenarios against China. Okay, so wherein this would also help to act like a deterrence in the entire Indo-Pacific region. Clear? So overall, it demonstrates India's ability to rapidly exploit the recoveries that have been made in the battlefields. Now, it would send a very clear message that we can turn the weapons of the adversaries into our advantages. Clear? Finally, if we have a look at the way forward, so this successful recovery has neutralized a major threat and has boosted the indigenous programs. This highlights importance of electronic warfare dominance and rapid technology exploitation in the modern conflicts. Okay, this also reinforces the Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense, and from battlefield debris to strategic advantages, we have literally paved way for us from the limited resources that are available to us. Clear? So this successful recovery and decoding of PL-15E had turned a potential threat into a strategic victory for us. Now, this also simultaneously highlights the growing importance of electronic warfare dominance and the air superiority. Clear? So this success reinforces our push for self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat in the defense forces, and going forward we must continue focusing on the electronic warfare updates. Okay, so since this has already updated the Astra series and our future fighter platforms, okay, we have also capitalized well on this opportunity. Okay, so do let me know in the comment section that how do you witness this engineering marvel from the Indian side, from the DRDO and the Air Force, and how it would be beneficial. Okay, now if we could remember the event wherein then Wing Commander and currently Group Captain Abhinandan Vartman had landed on the Pakistani side, his aircraft was probably being attacked through these PL-15 missiles only. And at that time also, from the debris, PL-15 debris was also recovered. Clear? So this eventually helps India understand that PL-15 was the primary beyond visual range missile that Pakistan had used. Okay, and this successful decoding and reverse engineering would also help Indians to understand the concept behind the Chinese missile technology. Clear? So I hope all of you would have understood the benefits of this, and let us as Indians must be proud for our security agencies. Clear? So this was all from my side today. We'll see you all in the next session. Jai Hind.